We are back, Prem Pals.
Hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Before we get into soccer stuff, the thing I'm always the most interested in is what you're wearing, Sean. That's what I think about.
Oh yeah. Forgot this. I'm kind of glad that we waited to do it today because
Another new kit.
Got that new. You know what this
Looks
badge
good.
is?
The Champions League patch looks good. I'm jealous
Yeah.
that we're not in the tournament.
Yeah,
but
it's nice and felty
how that
as
goes
well.
today. Yeah.
And it's got a nice little felt, and then what I went with
Who you got on the back? Luke Shaw. All right.
deservedly, man. I've been holding off for a few years. I've always liked him, you know, the just his mentality, the way he plays. I've always really enjoyed him. And but of course, you know, for me, I love our so-called attacking players. And it's hard, it's always a hard choice at the beginning of the season, but this year I made the choice to be like, no matter what, I'm gonna get him. And of course he got injured early on. Classic.
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe bad luck.
I don't know if it's bad luck. He kind of has a little spell almost every year. I mean, if you look at his statistics,
He's a good player though. I like when people get
yeah,
defenders on their kits instead of
yeah,
attackers. It's a little bit less
yeah,
sexy, but they deserve it.
yeah.
Game back there.
Exactly. And I just thought today this would be fitting.
I got
Um,
a new
what do you
old
got?
kit.
A new old kit. Oh, I do like that.
New retro Umbro. Don't tell
I like,
anyone it's actually a fake from a company I bought here in Mexico.
but I like the
But
collar like lines on the inside. It's
yeah, it's got like
classy.
collar lining. It's got the texture. Umbro, Holstein beer sponsor. This is our 1991 home kit. And guess what happened in 1991? Something you're not going to believe, Sean.
What?
Spurs won the FA Cup in 1991.
Uh-huh.
We won something. I was 5 years old, but we won something.
It still counts.
Still counts.
You can't go living in the past, rear nickel.
Yeah, no living in the past.
None.
Feels good though. The sleeves are
Yeah.
the style was a little different then. Like the sleeves are a little longer, but it's all right. I can get used to it.
Yeah, I like it. But I mean, in comparison, I like that we're, you know, there's this style that I have on too. There's kind of a callback to some of our older years, which is a little bit more simple looking.
Yeah.
I just think it's.
I like that
Oh,
collar
sorry.
too. That kind of
sorry, my
there.
Sorry, my ringtone's been up. Let me get this. Oh God, sorry. I can't. How do we work this thing? Oh, wait.
You can't hear anything.
Okay.
The before we get into the incredible Tottenham game that happened at the weekend, what's your best memory of a Manchester United late winner, Sean?
I mean, well, it'll pretty much cancel anything you're gonna have to say about your late winner against Sheffield Wednesday.
United, bro. Sheffield United.
Could be the same team, basically. I mean, do we talk about anything else but late in May of 1999? Manchester United.
Late winner. How late?
Manchester United reached the promised land with the Premier League and FA Cup already secured. United completed their unprecedented treble with a scarcely believable win over German giants.
I just Googled what you're saying and realized
Bayern Munich.
it directly from Google. But at first I was like, God, you are building this
Googleable.
Well.
It's completely Googleable. And the fact that it went down at Camp Nou, it's just like Solskjaer putting in the last winner.
Exactly.
So I didn't. That's why I didn't bring it up in our pre-notes.
Champions League final.
I mean, we were down 1-0, and in the final added minutes, our former skipper, our former manager,
91st minute.
Solskjaer,
91st minute.
Solskjaer, go so
91st minute. I mean, it's not that late, but I will give you that winning the Champions League with a late goal is
I mean, what was the
almost
best
as
memory
cool as
was the
beating
question.
Sheffield United.
What was you said what the best memory? Like I think that might top it there.
Yeah. All right. I'll give you that. Way to damper
Moving
my
on.
high slightly going into this, but anyways, let's go into the weekend results. Tottenham 2,
Yeah.
Sheffield United 1. This is the latest comeback in the history of the Premier League. We scored in what, the 100th minute, which
Uh-huh.
is crazy. But guess what team held that record before us?
Tottenham.
Tottenham held that record. So we are the late show. The craziest part is we scored 3 goals in stoppage time. One of them was narrowly offside, but 3 goals in stoppage time. The first thing I want to talk about is the the hilarious narrative here. So unfortunately, our games were on at the same time, so I didn't think you really saw what happened. But Sheffield United was time wasting from like the 10th minute, and it was like, what the fuck? This is ridiculous. Their goalie, Wes Fotheringham, I think his name was like every time just bouncing the ball, doing it on purpose, whatever. And we were getting furious. And we only had 3 minutes of stoppage time in the first half. And in the second half, he just kept wasting time. He kept wasting time. And eventually they got what's coming to them. They got 12 minutes of stoppage time because they did so much time wasting, in which we won the entire game in stoppage time. So karma's a bitch, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't understand in some of those games, it's like I understand that it's a tactic, but do they not study kind of like the fact that you've had that title of the latest winner
Yeah.
and that I mean it's just like saying how we have Fergie time, you know,
Yeah.
any team even if we're playing like we are right now this season, they're still very timid because they're like, oh, they've got something up their sleeve, always Fergie time, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it was a poor decision from them. And what was annoying too, so like 13 yellow cards. Ref lost control of the game a little bit there. Missed a penalty call that should have been obvious on Madison, but doesn't really make a big difference in the end. But Wes Fotheringham, the time wasting goalkeeper of Sheffield United, got out of his box and grabbed the ball, which is a yellow card, not a red card, which is surprising to me because I felt like he was sort of stopping a goal scoring opportunity. But because he got that yellow early on, the ref was just too chicken to give him a second yellow for time wasting.
I
And I
hate
think
that.
that's ridiculous. I think you should still get sent off with a red for time wasting just
Yeah.
because it's ridiculous. You know, it's a harsh call, but the ref was too scared to give him that second yellow, so he just kept getting away with it.
Yeah. And I think we've discussed this. It's like I really feel that the refs need to be held more accountable
Mm-hmm.
for situations or calls that can actually sway the final result of a match. And when it's blatantly obvious that afterwards when they review, you know, and they need to be reviewed by someone other than just their peers. You know, it's like they need to be like FA or whoever look at it and be like, this is blatantly obvious,
Yeah.
and that they need compensate, take, you know, pay, take away matches, like a full year suspension. If
Yeah,
you
like
know,
report cards, like players
yeah,
get. Like they should
yeah,
get carded. Like
yeah,
you did a shitty performance, ref. You get a yellow card.
exactly. But I get it because then sometimes it might work, you know, against other teams because then they just won't call, period,
Yeah.
out of fear of calling incorrectly. So I don't know. I mean, how do you discipline
Well,
that?
I think the crazy amounts of stoppage time we're seeing is nice. You know, we're finally, as supporters, like, you know, especially if you're in the grounds, you're paying to watch the game, and then the other team's wasting time, literally just burning your money. Like that's infuriating. So I'm happy that like at least we saw 12 minutes of stoppage time, which we wouldn't have seen last year. So it was great.
Yeah.
Um, let's get into the hero of the match. Let's paint a little picture. Richarlison, out of form, hasn't scored a single league goal for Tottenham. Playing on an international break against Bolivia, scores 2 goals, both offside, bawling on the bench. Not just like I played bad crying, like gurgling crying. Is that a thing? He was like crying, hard crying, and basically came out and said he's having some major mental health problems. Like his old agent, I think, took advantage of him, and a bunch of people stole some money from him, and just going through some shit. Right? He needs to talk to a therapist, which is cool that he's coming out with mental health problems because most footballers don't do that. And then he comes on as a sub with 20 minutes left, scores a header to draw the game in stoppage time, and then sets up an assist for the winner. I mean, how do you write a better narrative than that? Richarlison is back. Richarlison redemption arc. What do you think? Is he back?
No. First off, A, not to be insensitive, but boo-hoo, you're a professional football player getting paid
Yeah.
buku's amounts of bucks. B,
Life
you
can still be
keep that
hard.
type of stuff though to yourself. You don't put it out into the public to use that as a crutch. So then when you come on, then people are like, "Oh, woe is him," and then he scores, and we get this reaction. It's like,
It worked.
I mean, dude, Louis Calvert Lewin, whatever his for Everton, he
Yeah.
could be doing the same exact thing if he wants. Because I mean, if he scores for Everton, he's the hero again. It's you can't use those type of things and be on camera and be that sensitive, because it's not about being vulnerable to let the fans be a part of your life. It's more about being like, feel sorry for me, so then when I do something correctly, that you cheer me on to the point of like
I don't think he's
extremities
thought
that we're
about
having.
that. I think he's just an emotional
Well,
character.
you don't let that stuff get put out there, and you don't sit
Yeah.
on the sideline without covering your face with a towel or your jersey or your kit. When players are having a bad one, they're taught, don't put that out for display. You don't want people starting, you don't want the sun to run off with this, agenda, and you're
That's an
giving them
interesting take.
fuel.
I mean, I feel like everyone I've talked to is a Spurs fan, and so we all just think the same way. But I mean, I see what you're getting at, but I also don't think he's that premeditated. And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna make everyone feel sorry for me, and then I'm gonna like, you know what I mean?" I think he's just a super emotional guy, which is good and bad. We've seen
Yeah.
it. We know who he is.
Well, Exhibit A for up for me. We had a Rashford scenario where he had everyone's thinking about last season, which I absolutely adore, with 30 plus goals and assists. But the season before that, he was just in the mud. He
Yeah,
was not playing well.
in his
People
head.
were talking about trying to sell him. He wasn't even getting called up to England that much, the England squad. Like, he was just having a blinder of a season. And they were trying to create a similar narrative, like, but look what he does for the children. Look what he
Exactly.
does for the food. Look at
Yeah,
look at his brand.
he's
You
the
know,
darling of England,
yes,
right?
yeah, and he came from the academy.
Yeah.
Look at what he's done in the background. Support this kid. Of course, I'm on board with that, and it's one of our own. Of course, I'm going to look at that. But no one saw that redemption arc, until he literally said in front of everybody, like, no, I'm not going to quit. I know I'm not having a good one, but I'm not going to quit. I'm going to come back and do it.
Yeah, I mean, I
He
think
didn't go.
some people
He
recognized
didn't go
it, but you're
sit
right.
on the sideline and start weeping, and be like, but look what I do for the kids. But look what he's not. He wasn't the one putting it out there. Where I feel is like Richarlison is doing this, like, hey, put this out. Just put this, like, make it seem like it was a leak, and or catch me crying at the
All
chippy
right.
shop.
Just
Like,
rain on all my parades today, bro.
I'm
Thanks.
sorry. I'm sorry. It's just like, I get it, and if he does come good, I'll be the first one to admit it.
Yeah.
And if he
I
starts
don't
just
think
like
he's gonna just
railing him in, like, heck yeah. But
he's never gonna be that
also,
guy. He's never gonna be the next Kane. That's
yeah,
not his role, right? Like
yeah,
I think he'll maybe score 10 goals this season, which would be great, and he'll contribute, and he's a good squad player that can take minutes from Son or even playing on the wing or whatever. But I don't think he's back. But yeah, I mean, I think you do have a fair point there, but I still think it's nice to see, right? He was going through some
well,
shit. He
of
scored,
course,
he's
you need it.
a
That's
good
what you
guy.
need. It's what you're getting paid for. It's
Yeah.
what you need. And when he finally bags them in, you're like, yes, that's what I'm talking. Everyone, we'll get to the Sancho scenario a little bit later when we're chatting about United, but he's very similar in the sense of, like, look where he's at now, but he's put in some fantastic goals for us. So
Yeah, yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, and I mean, anytime you score that late, like I've got these kind of loud neighbors that have been bothering me lately, and I mean, the game wasn't that early, so it was probably what 10 in the morning here in Mexico City. I went ballistic. I haven't gone that crazy for a goal in a long time. I was by myself watching it and just went ape shit. So God, it felt good, man. It felt so good to just. I know it's Sheffield United, and Sheffield United, to be fair, were better than I expected, but they're still Sheffield United. It just felt good, man.
Did you get a
Um,
complaint from your neighbors?
no, how dare them?
They're like,
They bring it up all the
cállate,
time.
cállate.
Cállate. Let's talk a little bit about Black Mamba, the new Black Mamba, Clutch, Kulisevsky. What a goal. That last goal was like, I think it was understated how good it was. 2 touches in the box, put it to the left of the keeper. I mean, to have that composure in the 100th minute was great. I think he's really growing into that right winger role. Really, really happy for him as a player. I think what I'm the most happy though is we're not the Harry Kane team anymore. I know we got so much flack for that for years. We had one of the best players in the world, but he was kind of carrying us from a goal standpoint, from an attacking standpoint. Goals are coming across the park now. We've got Richarlison scoring. We've got Sonny scoring. We've got our midfielders scoring. We've got Kulisevsky scoring. It's nice to just have, kind of not just Kane, a lot of different attackers. And then also the captain thing, man. Like, I can't tell you how much I dislike having a goalkeeper captain. A goalkeeper captain, they're on the pitch. Hugo Lloris, don't get me wrong, captain of France, World Cup winning, one of the best keepers of all time. He probably deserved the armband, but at the same time, having a captain who's just, between the sticks doesn't do the same thing. Son being the captain on the pitch, is acting like a captain. And what's great is we have 2 phenomenal assistant captains now in Madison and Romero, that when Son gets subbed off, I still feel good. Romero's in there fucking pumping everybody up. Madison's the same. Man, the energy in the Tottenham crew right now is incredible going to the North London Derby. So I'm pretty fucking excited. What do you think of this Tottenham team right now? You think we can beat Arsenal Saturday?
I mean, I would like to see it happen for sure, for sure. And you touched on a couple of things that, I think are very relevant. But at the same time, it's like you haven't really gone against, major competition. And I know that
teams like Man United.
Yeah, I saw a couple of quotes you had in here about
I mean, let's talk
Cootie.
about that. I mean, we've had this defender debate, which I think has been put to bed
Yeah.
massively, of defender debate.
Mm.
Cuti
Mm.
Romero versus Sandro Martinez. You've got, struggling defense versus. I'm going to read you a couple Cuti Romero quotes.
Yes.
They say Van Dijk and tell me he's the best defender in the world. Romero is 10 times more. If you look at the best defenders, they are not fast. And Cuti has balance and speed. He's extraordinary. Baruchaga, legendary old Argentinian midfielder. And then, I don't know if you've heard of this guy. He plays from some team in the United States. His name's Lionel Messi. He's the best defender in the world. Cuti Romero, man, he's been fucking incredible this season. Like, I don't think he's the best defender in the world. He's probably not even the best defender in the Prem yet, but he could be. He's like 26 years old. I mean, he's got everything it takes to be one of the best defenders to play the game. You sound like
Here comes the rain. Do 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 do. And you're just setting them up for me. You're just setting them up for me.
True.
Both quotes are so biased. And the second quote from Messi, he's made this quote after he's been playing in the MLS. This wasn't before, and when they were in the World Cup and he was bragging on him. This was after he had gone and played against non-existent defenders in the MLS. So anybody could be the best defender at that point. Yeah. Anyone. But I do get it. I do.
Season, you can't argue. He's
not.
It is.
But against who? Because like even when I talk about United, we didn't have Rasmus even there, so we didn't have an actual number 9. We had players playing out of position. We don't have an attack. That's why we're not scoring goals. So you can't even say out of the top we beat a top 6 team convincingly because of our defense. And that's my points when you're like Cuti Romero is this is it's like we will see when he goes against the trio of like Liverpool and City.
Well, so we have Arsenal and Liverpool. So yeah. I think in 3 weeks' time we can have this conversation. Well,
but even Arsenal still, like, they get a lot of their goals from their midfield. Their build up, like Nketiah and Jesus aren't banging them in regularly, even though Jesus has that ability. But like they're doing it, and bring up the wing to pass in the back and. Isn't with Martinelli, he's out injured. So yeah. I mean that's an extreme
he's a threat.
Yeah, but it's like they're not going to have like that kind of that pressing power.
Well,
to
Liverpool
where
will.
it's he's going to shine. Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So against an actual front three, I'm going to be very interested to see
Me too.
his stats and how that plays out. But don't get me wrong. In no way am I criticizing this guy, because you need that momentum.
Yeah.
You need that. So like if we had a good stretch of games going into Bayern today, of course I would have confidence, and of course I would be building him up, and of course I would want him, because it's all part of that energy. We are the 12th man, and
Yeah.
whether we're in the stands or not, all of that, they may be scrolling and they see that you made this comment, and someone quoted you randomly that you've never even talked to, and he sees it. All of that is part of that mental game that Cootie's going to be like believing that, but he's like, I got to prove him. I got to prove him. So
Yeah.
of course you want that, but for me, I just think logistically he's going to have to go against
Big teams.
some actual teams,
Well, we've
and
got
the
two
fact that
weeks
he's
here that'll be telling. I think they'll be real telling. And I do think that he's looking a lot better because we actually have a real defender at his side in Van de Ven. But yeah, I mean, I'm just so pumped on the guy. He's taken on this assistant. Everyone was thinking it was ridiculous to sign our most petulant player as the assistant captain. But I mean, he's taken it on. Like he's really matured, I think, this year. So I think his ceiling is enormously high, but we've also seen he can be an absolute psychopath and just flip, let emotions control him, and then just start breaking people's legs. So, he always has that, which also is, I think people are a little bit afraid of him. So that helps, but he's also controlling it this season. So I'm happy about him.
yeah
A couple other individual performances. The most expensive players right now getting, bought and sold in Premier League and world football are central defensive midfielders. I know that I keep praising Yves Bissouma every week, but he's our most important player. Everyone's saying, oh, Madison's so great, and he's fantastic. Son's been great last 2 weeks, Romero's been excellent, Van de Ven, but it's everything goes through Bissouma. Like I think Rodri's probably still better, and he's proven, but I can't see a single other central defensive midfielder in the Premier League right now that's better than Bissouma. I mean, even Chelsea's managed to break Casado, who looked incredible when he was playing for Brighton. But I just can't stress enough how damn good Yves Bissouma is. I know you called it. I know you were saying that last year when he was being benched by Conte, which seems like it should have been a crime.
yeah
But he's just happy. He keeps putting Instagram posts up like, I love my life. I love my coach. I love my team. Like, I think he was just being completely abused by Conte. Like, the more we learn about Conte, like, he had rules that, like, you had to be in certain hours of the day, training facilities. Even if they changed schedules, you couldn't make personal plans on your own, because if training schedules, they could just, fluctuate every week. Postacoglu's much more like, you're an adult, live your life, da 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 da. And I think that freedom for some players has helped a ton. And Basuma is one of them. And I think he's our most important player by far. I'd like to look at goalkeepers. So, to be totally honest, we were trying to buy Raya, who ended up going to Arsenal. That was our number one, buy him from Brentford. He's a great keeper, Spanish keeper, but they wanted too much money. So we decided to pass on him. Then we got Vicario from Italy, who none of us really knew about. He has been perfect. He's been terrific. He's great with the ball at his feet. He's great shot stopper. He's confident. He's a presence. We score goals and he sprints the entire length of the pitch to celebrate with the team, which I fucking love. I think, he's going to end up being a better goalkeeper than Raya. So that was a great little shrewd purchase from Spurs. Sometimes I think, you get disappointed when you don't get the big name target, but then other times you find that diamond in the rough that's working. Now, I know what you're going to say, Sean, before you even say it. What about when you play a team with a real attack? Are you still going to love this guy? And that's probably fair. But yeah, man, as you can tell, I'm fucking buzzing, man. This team, I know we had the exact same results last year. I think maybe actually we're not 2 points up from last year. But it's just the energy, man. It's the way we're winning. It's exciting. It's fun to watch. There seems like there's camaraderie between the team. I'm loving Big Ange, man.
And that's exciting. That's what you need. You want that. Everyone desires that, especially at the start of a season. You obviously want to finish well, but you want to be coming out of here the summer months and being like, this is the good vibe. We're
I
feeling it. We're
love football
rolling,
again.
Yeah, we're rolling.
Well, I
It's
mean, the
yeah,
mental health thing. I mean, I forgot to ask you in the introduction how you're doing because we're in different situations here. But like, dude, it affect like I feel fucking 5 years younger this whole week. I just feel great. Like the team is flying, and I know Arsenal could, a bad defeated Arsenal could deflate everything. I still think even if we lose, I'm still very, very much on, a positive vibe here. But it's crazy how much it affects you, man. One game that you can't control happening halfway across the world can literally make or break not just your weekend, but if you have no European football like Spurs, your entire week. So, I mean,
yeah,
I think that's a good segue into a bit of a different result. Brighton 3, Manchester United 1. How you doing, man? You okay?
yeah. I mean, I mean, obviously, it's in the pit of your stomach, and it sucks when you see that first goal go past, and it there's just so much that goes into it, and none of it's excuses. Majority of it is just plain and obvious what you see. And I said this last week. I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it until the Glazers are out. It all starts at the top. You're getting
Yeah.
tied with you're trying to work with one hand tied behind your back. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, speaking of him again, came out today actually with an interview. Talking, I'm guessing that his NDA has run out, and he's able now to speak honestly about kind of his time. And he had some big name targets, and they named off all the targets that our last four managers wanted and what they got. And I mean, he was, trying to pick up Holland before he had even made his debut.
I saw
And
that.
that,
That would
the
have been a good
lower,
buy. That guy
yeah,
Holland, he's
yeah,
decent.
yeah. But he also wanted Bellingham, and he wanted, Grealish. He wanted Basuma. He
Well, so
wanted
did you see the thing that came out today about Kane? So Kane's contract details were released, I think, yesterday, and one was
the
that we have a
buyback.
buyback clause, which is great. The other was Kane said he was ready and had talked and was going to sign a pre-contract agreement, which is kind of bullshit, with United. He was going to sign for free with United, and it was them purchasing Hoyland that he was like, well, fuck that, and then he ended up going to Bayern. So his initial plan was to go to United on a free, and United decided to buy Hoyland. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me at
It
all.
wasn't on a
Like,
free though. It wasn't on a free. He wanted massive wages.
oh, for
Like
sure,
there
but
was
no
and
transfer
there
fee.
was
Yeah.
but the thing was is we were with already what
So
we're
it was a
paying.
wage problem, you think? That's
Yeah.
why?
Oh, it was
Because to me, like
100%.
you sell players. I
Oh,
mean, if you had
he
Harry Kane
wanted
in that
he
team,
wanted like 450 to 500 a week. And there's just like with our player wage right now, there's just no way. There's no way that we could pay 400. Our highest player is Rashford right now at 350.
oh, you're right. Actually, he's getting 400. He's getting 400. No, he's getting 400 at Bayern.
Yeah.
Damn, that's legit.
And there was just no way that we could cover that with our player wage at this
Then
moment,
you
especially
sell,
if the
right?
Glazers.
Like to get a
Well,
generational talent, to get England's captain. Like, I mean, I remember seeing a interview with Gary Neville a while back that he was furious that like United hadn't been going in for Kane years ago because that
yeah,
was the reputation. United buys the best England players, like da 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 da. He
it
would have
starts at the
my
top.
balls.
It's not the manager's
Yeah,
decision
it's the
at the end of the
Glazers.
day. Yeah, and they wait until the last minute and they cover the cracks by getting, a player that people think are going to change. Like when we got Casemiro, which we'll talk about, but it's just it's always the same thing. Wash, rinse, repeat, and they do just enough to where they get a certain percentage of the fan base to stop thinking so much on trying to put the blame on them. And then all of a sudden it does the spiral of like, well, now the players are unhappy because they're not winning. And then, oh wait, there's turmoil in the dressing room, leaks come out, and then the players aren't satisfied with the managers, fire the manager, repeat. Here we go again.
Yeah.
There's what they get one season of success. They don't back them in the following transfer window to progress, and then they get fired the following season. It's a recipe for disaster. We've seen it.
It's such a
So
weird, like coming from a Tottenham perspective, like the thing the we should be thankful. I mean, as much as Levy has problems, he's not the Glazers. And also our problems usually like we don't buy the right players. But to have your problem where like you have the most expensive team ever assembled and it's just buying the wrong players, it's having the reputation of just impulse buying at the end of the window to
Oh
spend to
yeah.
fill. That's got to be such a frustrating thing because you can't even be like spend more. You just have to be like, you guys are idiots. Like be
Yeah.
like look at the way that Brighton and Brentford are being run. Imagine a United run like that. Oh
Yeah.
my
Oh,
gosh, you'd be an
100%.
absolute, powerhouse.
It just full circles back to the point that you had brought up. That's the reason why we didn't go in for Kane, because we
Yeah.
100% signed the wrong people. And if you took all that money that we spent on the wrong signings and just would have gone in for Holland, or even gone and paid, 150 mil for what's his name in Napoli right now. Like why just do it? Like if you're going to spend all this money on three players that aren't going to work out anyway, why not go and get a guaranteed goal scorer and a guaranteed, you know, Kim and Jay? Because like we're going to play Kim and
Yeah.
Jay and Kane today, and we're literally looking at two potentials that Ten Hag wanted. It's absurd. And if
Yeah.
Kim and Jay has a masterful stop on Rashford cutting in or Hoyland, we're gonna be like, see, told you so. And then Kane bags three. Let's just get this out of the way. My predictions for today: 3-1 Bayern. I hate to say it, but it's like you
Is it a
can't
Kane
go
hat
into this.
trick?
You can't. I don't know if it's Kane hat trick, but he'll definitely score. It's just, and it's sad, and a lot of other people put in predictions. I'm not just like following suit. It's just very much so. When you're watching team, you have to be also conscious and realistic of where you stand. And as happy as I am to watch them in the Champions League today and support them, and I really hope that they go in there and do something unprecedented, then because we should be at least given, we're Manchester United, we should be giving them a run for money, but I don't see it happening. And it's going, once that first goal goes in, I just hope it's not too early, and I hope that we can at least make it somewhat enjoyable to watch for 60 minutes, at least.
That whenever you have that, whenever you have no expectations, it's always the time where sometimes a result happens. And I think Mueller or someone said that like it's the down United that beats you, or
Yeah.
draws you or something.
Kane
So
said that. Kane
or
said
Kane
it
said
too.
that. Yeah. I mean, you
Yeah, he
just
said,
never know. You guys have the talent to put in a performance to at least draw with Bayern. It's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna watch the game. I'm interested to see Kane play, even though it hurts a little bit, but I'm so high on Spurs right now that I don't even
yeah.
care.
And back to the Brighton loss.
Yeah, let's go to that.
Our midfield was overrun again. Uh, After a couple of weeks of you saying that you're not seeing it in Casemiro, this week really highlighted the fact that he's just not in form, and he's also his fitness level. He just looks like he's got really heavy legs, and
Yeah,
that he's not there as passionately as he was last season. And I don't know if it's because he's, even during trainings, he's having to do so much more than he usually does, and he doesn't have any help or support. And with Amrabat coming in and then being injured right out the gate, and he's not even traveling,
unreal.
you've got to be somewhat defeated, being like, well, this is all on you now, and the media is already on top of you saying that you're not playing well. The fans are wondering what's going on, and now you have to go play against Bayern with Eriksson or McTominay to your side. Defensively they're not, steadfast. So it's a lot, and then on top of that, again, we don't have um an attack that is convincing yet, because Rashford and Hoyland need to learn how to play together. Rashford is 100% going to have to learn that you're going to have to dish off the ball to Hoyland. You have a central guy now, and so instead of doing that cut in and have a go where it might go in and you're the hero, now you need to think, where's Hoyland? Where's my man? And
Mm-hmm.
if he's double cover or in the keepers in front, then have your go. But you have to like start dishing it off. And then our right wing scenario is just a
What a
mess.
mess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Solskjaer came out today and saying about Sancho that Sancho actually prefers to play on the left. When we bought him, his purpose was to play a right wing. We needed a right winger. We had no attack or just anything that even resembled something that you could be scared of coming off the right. There was nothing. So we bought him to play off the right, and then we're getting this nonsense. And then also Anthony, he's having his own legal issues or whatever. I say give Palestri the kid a chance. I like him. I think he's ready. Think he's training hard. If he goes in and just gets swallowed up, and I think a game like today would be perfect. Like throw him into
No
the fire.
expectation.
Throw him
Yeah.
into the frying pan. Like let's go. Let's see what it's about. And then if he can play on that,
Can
he can come back.
Garnacho
Yeah.
not play that on the right, or should he be on the left?
Garnacho could, but I mean, he's primarily on the left. He feels much more comfortable. But at this point, it's like instead of putting Bruno, taking him out of the number 10 role and putting him out there, which Ten Hag likes to do for some reason, possibly throwing Garnacho. We're going to see shortly what that lineup is and what his tactics are. And I fully back Ten Hag, but I did question his substitutions during the Brighton game because at one point Bruno Fernandes was playing center back at the end, like 100%, like because we were trying to attack, and so he took
Not
off
the best idea.
Hoyland because he said the physio is like he doesn't have 90 in him yet, and put on Maybury, who is a youngster who scored actually, but and then Bruno gets pushed to the back. It was just a mess. Like it was like the most insane. Like we're chasing the game and you're doing what?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
get it. He's trying to figure it out, working with what he's got. There's always going to be those same issues. The stick in the spoke, but it's just rough, And so it was a culmination of things that went wrong against Brighton. But at home, you shouldn't be getting beat 3-1. But Brighton are good. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
answer
I mean,
that
United
question.
had problems, but
Are
Brighton are
United bad?
very
But
good.
Brighton are really good. And I was
Yeah.
chatting with a buddy of mine who is a United fan, and he was telling me about how he's like, "What do you mean? How do we get beat by a third tier team?" I'm like, "Bro, have you watched them last couple of seasons?
Yeah.
Like their buying and selling is immaculate. Their team is solid. They're scoring regularly. As like they're in the Europa League for the first time in 15 years or something. Like,
But
how
do
do
they
you?
replace players? Like you got your super striker coming off your teenage Irishman, Evan Ferguson hat trick. Next game doesn't even start. And then good old Danny Welbeck starts and then he scores, and then
Yeah.
João Pedro scores. And like the goals are coming
Oh,
from
that was salt in
everywhere
the wounds, just getting it from an
from
ex-United player.
Welbeck. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Brighton are good, man. Who knows how high they can go? I think they're going to struggle a little bit with Europe and rotating and all that kind of stuff. But they're fun to watch, man. They could have scored more goals. They had some other good opportunities in that game when I was watching the highlights. So I don't know. You don't want to be too down on your team, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things going on. I mean, the Sancho thing. So I was listening to a podcast about that. Like, how do you feel? Why is this okay? So you make this comment about Richarlison, like why is his depression and mental health in the news? Why is that a story and all that? Why is your manager coming out and talking about Sancho's behavior in the press? Right, that should be something that's for closed doors. Like I don't understand why a manager would ever do that. Like what in your opinion? Like what is the reason why he would do that? It just seems so odd.
Yeah, I was very much in the same frame of mind at the beginning. And then when you do a little bit of backtracking and research, the exact same thing happened at Dortmund, actually, with his manager, and the same thing about being late to practices and just his mentality of not being sharp and aware of, the club's, the new manager's mindset and rules, and just that he's trying to implement a structure and a way of playing and a way of like they added a nutrition bar, they added all this stuff, but he's also just implemented very strict, like this is what I need you to be doing, and if you can't do that, you're gone. And Sancho's had that, not only struggled to get on the England squad, but also with Dortmund. It's just a lot of people have just kind of come out and said that he has always had that lack of the strict mentality.
Yeah, I didn't realize he
of
had
following
problems
that.
with Dortmund too.
Yeah. So if you look that up, it comes up pretty quickly. Sancho's he got paused on for starting and things like that, and he went through it, and he used the exact same verbiage as saying that he was being scapegoated when he was at
So
Dortmund, and
it's a
he used that
theme.
recently.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is Sancho.
Yeah, so I don't want to pick and choose who's wrong and who's right. I think it's, it's childish, and we
Yeah.
don't have the luxury at the end of the day to be putting a guy, in the reserves or whatever when we don't have anyone playing off the right side. Like I don't get it. Like, I understand that like he feels that if he does put him in, that he's, Sancho's one and that he can go about his business. But it's like at the same time, we need results. This is a
Yeah.
results game,
Well, and this is
you
his
know?
time. Like Anthony's not playing. Like, I mean, you guys are having your worst start to a season since 2014 under Van Hal. Like, this is the time, right? Like, if you were ever going to prove yourself, you have no one else to compete with at right wing, really, right? Like you show up to practice, you take the 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 game by the scruff of its neck, right? Like this is the time to shine, to prove that you're the player everyone thought you were going to be. It's perfect. It's set up for this amazing redemption story. And what I find surprising is like then you see like he's partying in New York and he's like not taking it seriously. And it's just like that's so unfortunate because I think as an England fan, we all had high hopes for Sancho and watching highlights of him at Dortmund. I mean, he was incredible, but he's just his career went down the toilet ever since he came to United. And I think he just needs to get out. I think you guys just need to part ways, go somewhere else, fresh start. I don't even think it should be in England. I think he's going to get too much shit. I think he should go to Italy, go to Spain, go somewhere else. But I think to me, the relationship, from the outsider looking in seems too far gone. I can't see Ten Hag and Sancho just all of a sudden making up and him banging in goals for you. But I guess you never know.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's very unfortunate. I really like the player. I definitely think there's a player in there. Um, I've always enjoyed it. Just this his the spark that he brings when he's actually on it, and just it's going to be hard to see him exit, and the way he's going to exit, it's going to be even more publicized. So I feel for the guy, but at the same time, I completely agree. And if there's a way back, he's going to have to make like a public statement
Yeah.
and come
Oh,
out.
yeah.
And I don't know if he doesn't want to apologize, which I just think is dumb. When I hear, oh, they're upset with each other because he won't say I'm sorry, I'm like, what are we,
It's a
3 years
23-year-old
old? Like,
kid
come
and
on,
you're a
man. Like,
50-year-old man. Like, just
yeah, come on, man. It's ridiculous. But here nor there. That's on to the
big
next.
egos,
And
man. It's big egos.
yeah, yeah. And we'll see what comes out of that. But I don't see him
Yeah.
playing very
I,
much
I
longer for
did I
United.
did want to ask you about I just saw a post-match review and none of the United players had very high ratings, but the highest rating on the team was actually my boy, Sergio Reguilon on loan at United. Curious as to what his debut looked like. Did you think he was decent? He must have been all right.
Yeah, yeah. His fitness levels were really good, and you could tell that he really wanted to show that he can make an impact. And he'll be starting, I'm sure, tonight because of the fact that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is out for a couple months with a muscle injury. So
God,
we're gonna have to put
what are your
Delo.
injuries? Do you have that list off the top of your head? Like, what are you guys looking at
Oh,
right now?
I
It's
mean,
insane.
Varane and
Veron's still out.
yeah, but Varane and Mainu are on their way back. They were already back training. Mainu's our 18-year-old youngster that should be
Center back?
follow. No, he's going to be uh Casemiro's,
Oh, okay. That's needed.
yeah, kind of Padawan, if you
Six
will.
replacement.
But he played really well in the preseason, and then got injured the last game preseason. So they're on their way back. Mason Mount also on his way back. They're all three training, so we'll hopefully see them against Luton or Burnley or whatever comes up next.
Luke Shaw, Wan Bissaka.
Yeah, Luke Shaw's out for a while. Wan-Bissaka now a couple months, and Maguire. I'm not going to say thank God that he's injured because I never want to wish ill upon anyone, but
He's
you
injured
know,
too.
yeah,
Jesus.
he's got injured at the end, so it'll be
Well, then
um
Anthony and Sancho not playing too. I mean, God, your squad is thin, man.
so it'll
Depleted.
be Martinez and
Lindelof.
Lindelof in the back tonight. But I mean, you can blame it all on injuries, but it's squad depth too. It's back to the Glazers not buying properly, and I get that people don't want to be bought to sit on the bench, but if you're playing well enough and you're getting accolades, look at City. Look at
Yeah, yeah.
Calvin
There's
Phillips.
plenty of
He's
players
just
willing
been
to sit on the
chilling.
bench there.
Yeah, exactly. Walk up,
Well,
get
they
off the bench
buy
all the time
so
again.
well though. Like, did you
Yeah,
like? I mean, and we can get into those results shortly. But like Doku, like I know he was a decent player, but he's coming in and just grab that starting, left winger role, linking
yeah.
up perfectly with Guardiola already. Like they do buy sign. I mean, the thing about Pep is he rotates so much, right? So I do think that like going to that team, other than Calvin Phillips, because Rodri's just irreplaceable, most players at least get some minutes. But yeah, it's tough, when you have those types of injuries, you just I don't know. I don't know what the future is for United. We'll see. I mean, right now it's,
Well,
the top
we'll,
six teams are all looking down at Chelsea and United thinking these guys aren't a threat. Now that could
we'll be
change,
fine.
but
We'll be fine.
yeah.
Because like what we'll do now is because if the Glazers want to stay there and then sell the club to its highest bidder, it needs to be attractive again. So what they're going to do in January is spend big and try and get some players to cover over those cracks again, which at the end of the day, hopefully will benefit us, but won't be enough, and then hopefully they can sell it for 6 billion to
Sorry or
whoever.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk a little bit about some of the other results at the weekend. We mentioned briefly, I thought for a second West Ham, James Ward-Prowse had a beautiful goal. They
Right
were
out the
winning
gate.
1-0.
Yeah.
Is it possible? Could they maybe win this game? No, of course not. City just pulls it together 3-1. Julian Alvarez is looking fucking great and almost undroppable, which is weird in a Pep team. But they're so good, man. I don't know how they don't win the league again. Like they're so good. Even when they're looking poor in the first half, which has actually happened a few times this season, what they do at halftime, Pep's ability to change that team is just unprecedented. I think like in my head, there's Pep and then there's, Klopp and other managers here. But Pep is just untouchably the best manager that has probably ever managed this game. So do they
Yeah,
win
it's gonna
again?
be. Yeah,
The
I think
treble?
so. They could. I mean, they could go for the quadruple this year.
Quadruple?
You know,
Uh,
like I don't really see anyone stopping them. Like even Liverpool, I just think it's a big ask. I don't know. I mean, they could pull off the quadruple, and which would just be devastating. Thing is, luckily they don't get as much attention as other teams. If other teams were to do it,
yeah,
you know,
they cheated. So no one
it
cares
is
as
a
much.
cheat code. But again, then
Code.
the next team to do it with big money, like if it would have been Newcastle or Arsenal or stuff, people are going to be like, "Whoa, look at that! That was the most amazing thing." And then what about all the money that they spent?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's get into Liverpool too. We see, I'm still, don't know if they're potentially going to challenge City or they're going to fall flat. When I watch them, they are very bipolar. They have moments of they look like, holy shit, this attack is. I mean, to be fair, they probably have the most attacking talent in the league. Barring like single players, they've just got depth. They've got so many good players up top. Had some nice
Thing,
goals.
yeah. Thing is,
There,
when they're down, you just know they're going to score.
yeah,
It's, I mean, similar with City, but City are like, I know they're going to win. Whereas Liverpool, if they're down, you know, 1-1, they're gonna at least get the draw there. And as frustrating as it is, they're just consistent right now, and that's all you have to be in this game to get to finish line in a good spot. And I hate to say it, they're looking for now, unless they fall apart again like they did last season. It's gonna take a bit, but it's
yeah.
nice not seeing them in Champions League and sending my buddy the Champions League theme song every few minutes.
Every few minutes.
Yeah,
I mean, I think they're looking better than, and we can get into this result as well. I think they're looking better than Arsenal right now, to be honest. Like, I think
yeah,
Arsenal are still grinding out results. I mean, don't,
yeah,
they're
yeah. They're
still one
pretty
of,
timid in there. Yeah,
they beat Everton 1-0. I thought they looked the better side, but 1-0 against pathetic Everton isn't really that great. Their goal was pretty, to be fair. When they do score, or when those midfielders and wingers are
Trossard.
linking
Yeah,
up, yeah, they looked pretty. And Trossard is better than I thought he was going to be. When they signed him, I was kind of like, he's not that good. But all these Brighton guys turn out to be pretty decent players. But I mean, Yeah, I mean, I think those three are looking like the three best teams, with maybe Tottenham in there somewhere. What do you think about that North London derby this weekend? What's
I
your
think it's going to
prediction?
be fun, man. I think that's
Yeah.
going to be one of the fun games to watch, and hopefully I'm not going into it super depressed about getting walloped 8-0 today and then losing to Burnley, 2-1 or whatever. But no, it'll be a fun watch, and I think that you guys have the opportunity to possibly take a win out of this one, a big
Yeah.
one, a convincing win, and then actually have all these points that you've been talking about
Come
come to
true.
light and be like, yeah, like there's a team there. So
That's the positivity I've
I'll
been looking for all podcast, man. Yes.
I'll be rooting for you until like that 90th minute. And then if they come back and score with a nutmeg through Cootie and your
Oh
keeper
God.
just gets mixed up
Don't put that in
and
the universe, man. Don't even put that narrative.
then
Don't even make any predictions.
I'm just gonna be like, well, yeah, there's the best
It's
defender and goalkeeper in the world.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, it'll
We'll
be fun
see. I'm
watch. It'll be a
excited.
fun
I
watch.
think that my head says draw, but my heart says we fucking pump them 5-0.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
We'll see.
I
Uh,
could see a draw, but I think you guys squeak out a result, either 2-1 or 3-2.
I just hope that Ange doesn't play the occasion because like we've been just coming out full throttle, and it's not worked out, right? You saw Sheffield United scored against us, Brentford. Like we're playing so much on the front foot that other teams are scoring on us. But I hope he's not like, oh, this is North London derby. Maybe we should be a bit more, cautious with our attack because then we'll get fucked. Like we have to play our game, and so this is his first North London derby. It's important. But I mean, it's a new guard, right? We don't have that many players in the team anymore who've played a lot of these. Besides Sonny, really, there's no one that understands the magnitude of the occasion of this. I mean, Kuti's been through a few of them, so I'm hoping we just play our game. But it's possible. It's like it's Arsenal. Let's take our foot off the gas slightly. Let's be more cautious, and I think that's how we lose the game if we come out like that. So I'm hoping we can win, but let's talk about the funniest and most awesome narrative outside of our teams that's happening in the Premier League. Chelsea 0, Bournemouth 0. How great is this, man? How great is watching Chelsea spend £1 billion, get
Billion.
fucking Pochettino, our ex lover, to manage the squad, and you can see him, man. He's rattled. Like in those post match interviews, he does not look happy. As how would you be? How low do they go? Could they get relegated? How amazing would that be? How
Oh my
amazing
gosh.
would that be?
I did see a meme today where it had uh what's it, Thiago Silva saying that he on Twitter he had put like Champions League and then the little cry emoji, and then it was
Championship.
end of the next season someone had put an added Premier League cry face, and I was just like, dang, it could happen.
I mean, if that happened, that would be the craziest story. That would be crazier than Leicester winning the Premier League. Like spending £1 billion and then getting relegated would be oh, I'm so for it. I don't think that's going to happen. I think eventually Chelsea starts clicking. Like, I guess Pochettino keeps preaching the underlying stats of like goal chances created and passes and possession is looking favorable for Chelsea. But I watched some of that game and I was just like, I don't see it, man. These players aren't clicking at all. It just seems like they've bought a bunch of guys who were good on their old teams, but they don't know how to play together. And that is what the team is. But it's
That's like what the U.S. national team used to be like. Just a bunch of individual players.
yeah.
They're looking better now, but yeah, it used to be that for sure. And I just don't know how do they get back to winning ways? It's like, what do you do? I think you have to sell a lot, and I don't know who you keep. And do you think
Who do you
Poch
build
can
that team
fix
around?
this?
I I don't know. I mean, Poch is a very good project manager. I think that's what he's the best at is like finding these players, but I also don't think he's the guy to manage all these egos. Like I think a lot of these players are coming in knowing the fee that was paid for them, so they're expecting to be the superstar, right? And when you have that expectation and everyone else has that same expectation, you're gonna have issues, right? Like Mudrik, like I don't even know who I'd build the team around. I
Yeah,
mean, the
no.
players like
Who would you keep? I think be like Enzo Fernandez,
Yeah, I was about to say that.
uh, um,
I mean, who would you take? So if you had to
Casito,
take players,
Enzo Casito, um, their left back
I
that's
think Ben
injured.
Chilwell's pretty damn good. I think he's one of the better
Yeah,
left backs in the league.
Chilwell, and
I
then
don't really want any of
the
those
best
center
left
backs.
back, the best
Reece
left
James
back.
is too injury prone. I don't like
Yeah, but
him
he's
that
still the
much.
best left back in England.
Right back. Best no, Reece James
Right.
right back. No way best right back. You got
Yeah.
Kyle Walker. He's still good. I mean, Reece James has the biggest ceiling, I agree, and I think he is the potential future of England, but he's injured like 3 times a year. He's got the Luke Shaw problems. I don't think he'll ever.
Wait, Reece James right back?
Reece James
No.
right back, Ben Chilwell left back. Yeah. But Ben Chilwell's good. But I mean, other than that, like I don't know who else I would build a team around. You're right. I don't like any of their strikers. I like Enzo Fernandez, but I do think Enzo Fernandez was a World Cup purchase. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like it's like the James Rodriguez, the James thing,
Oh.
where it's like, oh, he had a sick World Cup. He's gonna be so good. Enzo's good, but I don't know if he's the best in the league at that position. So I love
Yeah,
it.
but those are the only ones that I would keep, and then I would just scrap the rest and start over. I think
Which
they
is so
play.
crazy.
I think that they played better when they had what's his name, Mendy in goal.
Yeah.
That yeah, I don't understand why when
Bot Sanchez, yeah.
when Potter came in and was like, we're gonna put Azabaqua, let the back. What was it? What's his name? How do you say that goalkeeper's name that now is on loan somewhere?
Kepa.
Yeah,
Kepa. Yeah.
that dude is trash, dude. He was
Yeah.
so terrible.
He's trash and he just fell his way into playing for Real Madrid, which is hilarious.
Yeah, and remember when he said he wasn't coming off the pitch
Yeah.
at one time? He
Yeah.
just like, no, I'm staying on.
Yeah. He seems like a
Yeah,
brat.
what a clown.
That
Yeah,
whole club is just like the thing is though with that club too is like another thing you got to consider is like that even Roman Abramovich couldn't expand that stadium. Like, you know where the stadium
Mhm.
is located in Chelsea and London is an area that like you can't build a new ground right there, right? Like it's physically impossible to even
Yeah,
expand. So as these teams like Tottenham, for example, have a brand new state of the art stadium, huge, a lot of expansion potential around it. Like I think when you're looking at clubs from an outsider perspective, to purchase, like I think Todd Bowley eventually, as an American, these draws of 0-0 after spending $1 billion, he's going to be over it. But I just don't see Chelsea as the attractive buy. I mean, United, you guys could expand and you already have such a big global footprint. Like, I don't know. I think we might see Chelsea maybe, have the biggest days of Chelsea are behind us. Like even though I know
oof,
that they're spending so much money, I don't know.
that
It
would
just
be
feels different.
crazy. That would be crazy.
Probably not though, right? It's Chelsea. They're
Well,
gonna
I
come
mean,
back
it
and
happens. It happens. We saw it happen to Blackburn. We saw it happen to Newcastle. The
Leeds.
people that are probably listening to this are, majority of you aren't old enough to know that some of those were just massive, massive clubs
Yeah.
in their heyday. Like Blackburn won the Premier League.
Blackburn was the biggest spender for like a decade in the
Hmm.
Premier League, which is crazy to think about now.
It's
So like,
wild. And
yeah,
now Newcastle, I mean, Everton even just got bought, right? By the 777 or 777. They just got bought. So like, I wonder what's going to happen to them.
yeah,
Maybe they become the new Chelsea. Who
never
knows?
know.
That's why I love this game. I love
Yeah.
this game.
And I love watching
As
Chelsea
Patrice
fail.
Evra would say.
But yeah, I think that'll do it for this week. I'm
Wait,
excited
wait, wait.
to
You didn't give me the United Bayern prediction. You,
my prediction.
yeah, you were just like it's going to be fun to
I'm gonna
watch.
do you a
You don't want to hurt my
solid and I'm gonna
feelings.
say 4-2.
That's very
4-2.
fortuitous of you.
Fortuitous. I think Kane comes in and plays well. I think I'm gonna say a hat trick from Harry Kane in the Champions League and a
Oh,
Thomas
come
Mueller
on,
fourth
man.
goal and brace from Rashi, and Rashi gets a bit more form going into the weekend, which I think you guys need.
Yeah, we could do with any of it. We need a miracle right now. So I mean that's what we're going with. But at least I look good for it. If
You
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 can't
always look
at
good.
least look good for the occasion, dress like
It's
at least
exciting, man.
don't.
Champions Leagues. I mean,
Yeah.
what can you expect against Bayern anyways, right? Like Bayern, even if you guys were the United of last year, you'd still be like, fuck, it's Bayern in the Champions League. It's one of the hardest games you could possibly play. Like, look at Arsenal's group. It makes me so angry seeing Arsenal's group. Arsenal has a Europa League group in the Champions League. Of course, they're finally in the Champions League again after I don't even know how many years, and then they get that group. Come
7
on,
years. Yeah.
it's not fair.
It's kind of how it goes, though. Same thing happens with City every year. So it's just, not in the cards.
Man.
Yeah, but that's what people thought when we were getting, when we were in our heyday. So I understand the misconception, but whatever. Hopefully
Yeah.
we get at least a couple goals, so that I can at least clap my
I
hands a
mean,
couple
you guys,
times.
what, Copenhagen, Galatasaray, like you should still get out of that group, really, right? I mean, maybe not, but like
Yeah,
Copenhagen's the third
if
team.
everyone comes back from injury, and that's the one thing shining grace that I can say is that we do have a bunch of people coming back from injury at the same time. So I think by the next round that we have, or just round of matches in Champions League, it'll be a completely different squad of people and
You get to test some
lineup.
players and
So
things like that. I mean,
yeah,
having Bayern in your group's hard, but I still think, it's no group F. That group F, what is it? PSG, Newcastle, Milan, and Dortmund.
did you
Ah,
see that PSG game yesterday?
no, didn't see any
It
of
was
them.
it was all right. I mean, PSG looked pretty convincing. 2-0
They always do in the group stage. Like
against
in the
against.
group stage, it's like, holy shit, PSG might do it this year. And then they just wilt. They just don't have that like mentality to get through at the end that there's another team that has that same problem that I know about. But yeah, I mean, I don't see PSG winning the Champions League this year. No
Well, they
way.
don't have anybody threatening to me anymore. When they used to
Mbappe
have a
guy,
couple.
he's all right.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be crazy to see where he goes, next year.
I don't think that. I mean, on that topic, like I don't think that Real Madrid needs Mbappe. I think
Oh,
Real Madrid needs more of like a Kane. They need more of like an out and out striker replacement for Benzema. Right now,
yep.
like I mean, I think Rodrigo is underrated. He's an excellent winger. They've got depth at that position. Vinicius is probably the best left back in the world. Like, where's
Love.
Mbappe? Mbappe is not a. I don't think he's that number 10, really. Like, I guess he could be the way he plays for France, but I don't know if I was if I guess he'll go on a free though with massive wages.
And
So
I think Hoyland's probably going to end up in Real.
you mean Holland or your boy
Yeah,
Hoyland?
Holland.
Yeah, I
Holland.
think Holland
Yes.
would be a better buy, but
Yeah.
I mean he's not going to leave City for at least what 2 more years.
I don't know. I don't
If they
know.
win the treble again, then
He's talking about moving pretty quickly, like he wants to get through it and just get those accolades with different
what if
teams
he
and
what if he
be
just
on
does
that
the
level.
treble in every country? That'd be
You know, he'll be
incredible.
trying to be like Ronaldo then,
Yeah,
the greatest to ever do it.
I don't know about that, but
I don't know. I
good
mean,
player.
you brought it up.
I mean,
Brought it up.
I like I've always had massive respect for Ronaldo, but I think what he's done here with Saudi really annoys me. Like that he opened that door and he became that talent. He became the spokesperson for Saudi Arabia. Doesn't sit well with me. But other than that, yeah, I mean, come on, it's Ronaldo, incredible
Yeah.
player.
Talking about his past accolades, not his
That's all we got
current
with
form.
Tottenham and Spurs is to talk about when we used to be good.
Yeah, exactly.
All righty,
Well,
man.
that's another
Well,
fun one. I'm just like, I'm trying to hype myself up. So if I sound a little somber today, people, it's because I
yep,
don't want us to get
just raining on my
destroyed.
parade all
Yeah,
episode.
misery loves company. All
Yep,
right, all right.
awesome,
But if you're
awesome.
watching this on YouTube and you see my face, I am smiling on the inside. But don't forget to smash a like, share, and subscribe. And we'll be back next week. And all you podcasters, thanks for listening.
Peace and love. Bye
Peace,
bye.
peace.